2, let's see, of our Algebra 2 review, test 1 through 30. You guys said that we got down to what, 13A? Okay, 13A, Ralph is an electrician. He charges an initial fee of $25 plus $33 an hour. We just want to write an equation using H for hours to find how long it would take Ralph to earn $223 on a job. Okay? So we want whatever he does to be equal to what? Right? How long would it take him to earn $223? Okay? So what did you guys have here? 33H plus 25. Okay. And that works, okay, because it's $25 is the standard fee, $33 per hour, okay? Yes, Camden? Okay, so let's take a look here. Now, on this first part, it just says write an equation, right? Okay, so let's see what our answer actually comes out to. What are they looking for here? 25 plus 33H, I believe that's an equal sign, equals 223. 223 equals 25 plus 33H. 33H plus 25 equals 223, which is what we have here. 223 plus 33H equals 25. Let's see, let's take... what I'm going to do here is I want to actually zoom in on this a little bit to make sure that we're reading these answers right. 25 plus 33H. Okay, so we do have equals here. What did you say what did you type in?
33H plus 25 equals $200.
And that's probably why, because if you look up here, anything other than what is being exactly typed in here is going to get counted as wrong, even if it's not actually wrong. So you're not wrong by putting dollar signs in there. They're just not listed here. Okay?
Do we have to put it in order?
No, look, there's multiple different orders. Okay? So, the problem is that if you accidentally include a space, right, it's going to get it counted as wrong, so it may not even be an order thing. Okay? So notice here, we can flip the order of the 25 into 33H, right? We can have 223 over on the left-hand side equals everything over on the right-hand side. The order can vary somewhat, okay? Now, it can't be 223 plus 33H equals 25. You understand? Okay, so there's a limit to what that order can be. All right. All right, so if we have that there, this next question actually asks us to solve, right? Yes? All right, so with this equation right here, what would we do to begin to solve this? Go ahead, Maggie. Okay, let's slow down just a little bit, okay? Subtract 25 on both sides. What is our goal here? What are you trying to do? Find out how many hours. How do we find out? We're solving for a variable then, right? Solving for H. What do we do in any equation to solve for a variable? Isolate the variable. Isolate just simply means to move everything else to the other side, right? Okay? All right, so that's what you're doing by moving the 25 over, is just moving everything else over to the other side. Okay. The reason I want to slow it way down is because not everybody understands it at the same level. So let's slow down. Let's make sure everybody's got it. Okay, so we have 33H left over. What is 223 minus 25? 198. Okay, trust you on that. All right, what's the next step? Go ahead. All right, so divide by 33. Notice that we're doing the opposite operation to move things over. So if it's plus 25, I'm going to subtract 25 because 25 minus 25 is 0. All right, and it keeps the equation balanced. Right? If I'm taking 33 times h, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication by dividing. 33 divided by 33 is 1h, so it cancels itself out. What's 198 divided by 33? 6. Okay, so H equals 6. Okay, we could say 6 hours. Okay, let's see what our answer is here. We got H equals 6, 6 hours, 6 HR, 6 HR with no space, right? I think we, right, but I would count it as correct, okay? 6 hours with no space, I would count that correct. I'm not going to make a problem there. The only, let's say, what could I do to get the work right but still get it wrong? If you just wrote that, that's going to get counted as wrong, okay? Does that make sense? All right, so there's no surprises tomorrow. All right, we may have to. Okay, 14, a store is selling a couch for $623 on a 24-month payment plan. If a down payment of $152 is given, no interest is charged. Okay, how much will a customer have to pay each month? Round your answer to the nearest cent. Okay, somebody besides Maggie. Maggie's got this. Okay, Jose? Tell me how to set up the question first. Don't tell me what your answer is. Tell me how to set it up.
Oh, 152
Okay, so you got 152 times, okay, you want to multiply it by something.
24.
Okay, 152 times 24. It's going to be a really big number, right? Let's back it up. Okay? Let's deal with the first number that comes up. What is the cost of the couch? So the couch costs $623. Try to put yourself in those shoes. You go to, I don't know, Kirksville Furniture Mart or something, right? You want to pick out a couch, $623. You look down in your wallet, what do you find there? $152, right? You say, hey, I'm going to give you the $152 that I have. How can I represent that up here? Subtract $152, all right? Okay, what's 623? Let's see, there's 1. Oh, what is that, 7? $471 is what is still owed, correct? Okay, $471 is what is still owed. We want to put this on a 24-month plan. We say, hey, we're going to pay this. We're going to pay a little bit every month, and we'll have the whole thing. We want to have the whole thing paid off in 2 years. What do I do with the 471? Divide 471 by 24. Well, 24 won't go into 47 twice because that would be 48, right? So I know it's only going to go in once. 24, let's see, what is that, 23? 23 left over with a 1. We need to find out how many times 24 go into 231. What is it? 9 times. Is it even? All right, or we could just 260. Let's just, because I know you're going to do this anyway. All right, let's take let's see, what was it, 471 divided by 24, $19, and we have to round that up, right, because we're dealing with actual change. So $19.63. Okay, and we need to either say dollars or we need to have the dollar symbol preferably. That's what we're going to pay every month, okay, so that we have that couch paid off in 2 years. Okay, so if you work it out, yeah, 1963, preferably have the dollar symbol there because it's not a straight dollars. All right, so have the dollar symbol on that, okay? Questions on that? All right. $15, an amusement park has 2 types of season passes. The one charges a one-time fee of $155 for admission, plus $8 every trip. For parking, Plan 2 is a one-time fee of $105 for parking, plus $11 every trip for admission. Okay. Oh, hold on. There's more. Is that it? Hmm. Was the question cut off for you guys?
No, it says for admission. It says for what the number of is it closer to the same.
Okay, here we go. Like I said, I thought it was maybe cut off. Let's see. For what number of trips is the cost of these plans the same? So I need to set them up on two sides of an equal sign, right? Okay. Plan 1, what is that? How do I write that up? 155 plus 8, let's say P, $8 for parking. All right. The next one is what, 105? I mean, we could say 11P, even though it's not for parking, isn't it doing the same thing? Okay, we're just going to use, instead of thinking of P as for parking, let's just think of it as a variable. You could use X there if you wanted to. Okay? Because whether I pay every time for parking and less for admission, or pay more for admission and less for parking, isn't it effectively the same thing? I'm paying the same people, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so we want to find out when these are equal. So what do? Babbitt? Okay, Sanchez? Oh, what is it? Subtract what? Subtract 8P from what? From both sides over here. So we got 155 equals 105 plus, what is that? 11 minus 8, 3P. Okay. Sanchez, what do you do from here? What's that? Subtract 105, good. Subtract 105 from each side. Okay. What's that leave you with? 155 minus 105. 150? Just 50. Okay, so 50 equals 3P. Okay, now what? Divide by 3. Okay, what's 50 divided by 3? All right, but can we go 2/3 of a time?
No.
Okay. What was our answer here? 16 trips. 16 or 17. Because it was 16, we got 16 and 2/3 trips. They're not, you can't be, there isn't a trip where they're actually equal on that trip. All right, so either 16 or 17 trips is acceptable there. Okay? What's that? Yeah, I mean, because they're not equal on the 16th trip and they're not equal on the 17th trip. They're equal somewhere in the middle there. The answer is 16 or 17. It's kind of tricky. All right, let's keep moving on. Solve for P. Solve for P. Well, we've been working this whole time with solving for a variable. How do I solve for a variable, Alex? How do I solve for a variable, a specific variable? How do I always solve for a specific variable? Jose? No, that's not what I'm referring to. Camden? Oh, you guys are thinking. Look, there's a question up here, wasn't there? When we were up here, we're looking at, per hour, right? We're solving for H. Solving for H. How do I solve for H? How do I solve for any variable, Maggie? I what? I isolate it. I what? I'm going to get the whole class here. How do you solve for a variable? Isolate it. What do I mean by isolate? Get it alone. Okay, and I'm going to do the opposite of those operations. I want to solve for P. What needs to move to the other side? The W. What is W and P doing, Wyatt? They're multiplying. So how do I move that W? Divide it on the other. Okay, so it's divide. So what does P equal? Y divided by W. Okay? P equals Y over W. P equals Y over W equals P. Okay, that's how it's got to go. Okay, 17. Gloria earns 1.5 times her normal hourly pay for each hour that she works over 40 hours in a week. And that's pretty well standard at most places that you work. That's why people work overtime, because let's say that you make $10 an hour. Whenever you start working overtime, every hour that you work, you're making $15 an hour, right? That's a pretty big jump. So you make your time and half of your time. Okay? Her normal pay is $9.70 per hour. Last week, Gloria earned $708.10. How many total hours did she work last week? Okay, so she's earning $708.10. Right? It's probably not possible for her to make that working 40 hours a week and only getting $9.70. First, we need to find out, all right, what is $9.70 times 40? 9.7 times 40. So she can only make $388, right? Does it come out to exactly $388? All right. She can only make $388 at her pay. Does that make sense? Okay. So that represents this. Okay. Now, what is time and a half for her? Okay. How do I find that out? 9.7 times what? 1.5 times 1. What is 9.7 times 1.5? 14 point what? 14.5. 14.55. Okay. So whenever she works overtime, she gets $14.55 an hour, right? But we don't know how many hours she worked at that rate. We just know that she earned $708.10. Now keep in mind, this already represents 40 hours. We just want to find out how many hours she worked of overtime. Does that make sense? Okay, so what do I have to do here to solve? This is probably the toughest question we've looked at so far. Go. No, not yet. Subtract what? Subtract 388 on both sides. Okay, if the numbers you gave me are right. So we got 14.55H equals, what's 708.1 minus 388? 320. $320.10. What are we going to do now? Divide by 14.55. All right. So what is it? 22 hours. All right. So if we want to know how many total hours she worked last week, is it 22 hours? No. What do? Add 40 plus 22. So she worked 62 hours. Okay. And that's 62 hours in a week, right? So we could go a little bit further than that, and we could find out about how many hours she worked every day, right? What's 62 divided by 7? I know this isn't part of the question, but I'm curious. How many hours did she work every day if she made $708 in a week? She worked 9 hours a day. That's not bad. Okay. Let's just keep going with this. Let's find out how much, if she kept that rate up, right, where she's working 62 hours a week, right? Hold on. She probably didn't work 7 days a week, though, did she? Well, she probably got the weekend off, you think? All right, so let's take that 62 and divide it by 5. Work 12.4. Well, we'll give her that she went in on Saturday. So let's take 62 divided by 6. She worked 10.3 hours a day. That's quite a bit, right? All right. So let's say that she did that. Let's say she worked 62. Hold on. She does that every week for a month. So that's 708, 10 times 4. She makes just south of $3,000 that month, right? It's actually $2,832.40. Granted, it's more complicated than that because she's going to get taxes taken out of that, right? She's probably going to get, depending upon the job, she'll probably get retirement taken out of that. So she's probably, even working overtime, that check is probably about $2,500, maybe less. Okay? So that's the math. I mean, I know that seems, a lot of times math seems silly, but that's the math you're going to be doing a lot of someday, right? If you have an hourly job, right? I don't want to get too far off on the subject of making money and what you ought to start considering now, but they say of like most guys that are millionaires, they don't make that money working one job. Right? They don't just like work one job and it just pays so well that they make $1 million. They say that of most millionaires, most of them have what they call multiple revenue streams, meaning that they're getting paid for like 7 different things. And that's the average number of revenue streams for most of your millionaires today is upwards to 6. That means they're getting paid from 6 different avenues of income. Okay, so they might be making money on stocks. They might have a book that they've sold, multiple different investments, that type of thing, which is something to consider, that if you're going to one day think about building wealth and what that means, it means more than just working a 9 to 5. All right, off on that subject too long. All right, we want to solve for y. How do I solve for a variable? Isolate it. Okay, which means to do what? Get it by itself. Move everything else over to the other side. We want to solve for y, which means this y has to stay put and literally everything else has to go over. Okay? How do things go over? By doing the opposite operation. Starting with what? Addition and subtraction, right? Is that what you were going to say, Alex? Okay. So what's the first thing to move? Subtract 3. Okay, so subtract 3. So we got 4.2y plus 1/5 x. Could I go ahead and subtract 1/5 x too? Yeah, I can subtract 1/5 x minus 1/5 x. Okay, let me move this over here a little bit. So we've got 4.2y equals negative 3 minus 1/5 x. Okay, how do I move the 4.2? Divide. Okay, divide by 4.2 here. What all gets divided over on the other side? Everything. Okay, so whenever it comes to multiplication and division, whenever I multiply across or divide across, everything on the other side gets multiplied or everything on the other side gets divided. Okay? So it leaves me with y equals, now I have to do some math here. What's negative 3 divided by 4.2? Go ahead, Alex. Negative what? Negative 1 over 21. Okay. And what is negative 1/5 divided by 4.2? Let me double check here. Negative 1 divided by 5 divided by 4.2. That's your negative 1 over 21, isn't it? That's this. Okay, negative 3 divided by 4.2,
It's -5.
negative 5 sevenths. Right? Okay. Let's see what our answer says on this. Yep, it's got it there.
What's the answer?
This y equals negative 1 over 21x minus 5 sevenths. You can, they've got it in parentheses too, but that's not really necessary. So you're saying, could it be y equals negative 5 sevenths minus 1 over 21x? Yes. Yeah, you can do that. Normally, though, because if you'll notice this looks a lot like slope-intercept form, we will the standard of that is to have the x first. Okay? Can I erase this? Okay. Hopefully, are we getting quite a bit written down today? Okay. We got 9:18. We got about 9 minutes. So obviously, we're not going to get through every question. Okay. Let's see. We want evaluate the expression for m equals 3 and n equals 4. What do I do? Substitute variables. All right, so I'm writing negative 5, but if I substitute in, what should I do every time? Parentheses for the m, parentheses for the n, separate parentheses for m and n. Okay? Now, for m, I'm putting in,
-3.
and for n,
4.
and for m,
3.
and, okay? What do I do from here?
Multiply -3, -5.
Order of operations, right? Okay? Negative 5 times 3 plus, okay, minus negative 7 times 3 times 4. Negative 84. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Negative 21 times 4 is negative 84, right? Now that's going to be 1, right? 1 minus 84. Negative 83. Okay, let's double check our answer. Negative 83. Okay? If you forget to type in the negative sign and I don't find it on your paper, it will get counted as wrong. Okay, so be careful. Make sure you're including everything. Okay, I think we've seen this question a number of times, right? What do I do here? Substitute in for n, okay? Okay, what am I substituting in for n? 7. Okay, what do I do first? Distribute? No. Exponents, right? Grouping symbols then exponents. What's 7 squared? 49 minus 7. Okay, what's 49 minus 7? 42. So 1/2 times 42 is the same as dividing by 2, right? So it should get 21. No, because we're not solving for a variable there. It's just because we're substituting in. Kind of like on the earlier one where it was just negative 83. If you put something like x equals 21, I'm not going to count it wrong. It's just not necessary. Okay, the area of a trapezoid is given below. Solve for b. Use a fraction bar for multiplication as needed, no spaces. So, okay, we're solving for b. What do you do to solve for a variable? Isolate it. Isolate. And in order to isolate, do the opposite, right? Move everything else across. So this is 8 plus b divided by 2, h, right? Okay, how do I move that h over? Divide by h, all right? So I got a divided by h equals a plus b divided by 2, okay? How do I move the 2 over? multiply by 2. Multiply by 2 over 1, right? So multiply by 2 over 1. So that's going to make that 2a over h equals a plus b, right? Okay? What else has to move? The a. Subtract a, right? Subtract a, and that a is in the numerator, so it's 2a minus a over h equals b. Will that simplify? What's 2a minus a? A. So b equals a over h. Let's see if we're right. B, hold on. Oh, I see. Okay, so I messed up. So I put this out over here, which I didn't think I'd messed up, but I did. All right, this is 2a just minus a out here equals b. So we can't actually subtract, okay, because we don't have a over h, okay, to get all that together. Which is why you see an answer like that being given. Okay, so that's a pretty tough question to get. Okay, so you want to go back and watch the video for that probably. Yes? Why did it count it wrong on you? What was your answer? Two a divided by h minus a equals b. I don't know. Could be a spatial thing. Could be something minor. I don't know. Could be a capitalization or a lowercase. I don't know. On a question like that, just know that I'm going to look closely at it. Okay. All right. Let's see. We're out of here at what, 18? Okay. That doesn't really leave me but with a couple of minutes. I understand we didn't cover, every question that's in here. I did my best to get as much of this to you as I could. Okay. So we're going to stop there. Hopefully that prepared you. Let's see. Did I release your scores, those of you that took it? I did? Okay. So if you didn't do the review, then I couldn't release your score, then you can't study from your own review. But that's on you. Okay. Did anybody, here, let's take a look. Is there anybody in here who reviewed? No, nobody. So only 8 of you did it yesterday. There was no homework given last night, and none of you decided, hey, I should probably at least give it a shot and try. Awesome. And that's why this class has the most students failing of any class I teach. And it's not because you're not being taught. It's because most of you, let me stop recording here.